Good evening. Global pop superstar Katy Perry is tonight at the centre of a police investigation over bombshell claims of sexual abuse inside a Melbourne nightclub.
Katy Perry built an empire on being untouchable. Chart records, stadium tour, a cultural footprint that stretched across a decade. Then in the span of 72 hours, a single thread's post unraveled 15 years of carefully managed image. Now there's a police investigation on another continent, a growing list of names, a deleted essay that contradicts itself, and a silence from Perry's camp that is somehow louder than anything her representatives have said. The scandal nobody saw coming. On the afternoon of April 15th, 2026, something happened that turned a celebrity social media fight into a real criminal matter. The Melbourne Sexual Offences and Child Abuse Investigation Team, known inside Australian policing as SIT, released a short official statement. They said their detectives were looking into a historical sexual misconduct that happened in Melbourne in the year 2010. They said the incident took place at a licensed venue in the Central Business District. They said they could not share anything else because the investigation was ongoing. The statement did not name Katy Perry. The statement did not name Ruby Rose. But every single person reading it knew exactly who it was about because just 2 days earlier, Ruby Rose had posted a public accusation on Threads that set the internet on fire. And 1 day after that post, she walked into a Melbourne police station and filed a formal report. A Victoria police spokesperson named Sergeant Julie Ann Newman spoke briefly to NBC News. She said she could not confirm the names involved because of privacy protocol. She did confirm the investigation was real. She did confirm the unit was SIT. And she did confirm that the incident being looked into happened in the year 2010 at a licensed venue inside Melbourne. Now, here is what most people watching this story do not understand. SOCIT is not a regular police unit. It was built specifically for cases like this one. There are 28 locations across the state of Victoria. There are around 400 specially trained officers working inside this system. Every single detective who joins the unit has to complete a 4-week training course just for sexual offense investigations. They work side by side with trauma counselors and forensic experts inside buildings called multidisciplinary centers. They record interviews using a method called V, which stands for video and audio recorded evidence. This system exists because Australian authorities decided years ago that sexual offense cases needed their own specialists. So when people hear that a police unit in Melbourne is investigating a pop star, they often imagine some dusty file on a forgotten shelf. That is not what is happening here. The case has been assigned to a specialist team trained in exactly this kind of work, and that team has one very big legal weapon on their side. Victoria has no statute of limitations on sexual offenses. A case from 2010 can still be charged today in 2026. It can still be charged in 2040. That is the rule. It does not matter how much time has passed. If the evidence holds up, charges can still be filed. Ruby Rose has now finalized every report. She posted one last update on Threads, saying she had wrapped up all her statements with the police. She said she could not comment publicly on the case anymore or talk about the individuals involved. She said it was a standard request from the police. She said it was actually a relief. She said she could finally start the healing process. Then she went quiet. That silence is telling. That silence means the machinery is now moving. To understand how we got here, we have to rewind to Sunday, April 12th. The Threads post that broke the internet on a Sunday night. That night, a music publication called Complex posted a graphic on Threads. The graphic showed Katy Perry making fun of Justin Bieber. Bieber had just headlined his first ever Coachella set the night before. During the show, he mixed in old footage of himself as a teenager from YouTube. Katy Perry had posted on her own Instagram a quick jab at the performance. She joked that thank God Bieber had YouTube Premium, because she did not want to see any ads. And God is premium. No ads. Complex picked up the joke and made it into a post. That post is where Ruby Rose replied, and her reply was not a joke. Her reply changed everything. She wrote that Katy Perry sexually mistreated her at Spice Market nightclub in Melbourne. She wrote that no one should care what Katy Perry thought. Then she started posting more and more, and the internet exploded. In a follow-up post, Ruby Rose laid out the specific account. She wrote that she had been lying on her best friend's lap to avoid Katy Perry. She wrote that Katy Perry bent down, pulled her underwear to the side, and rubbed her private parts on Ruby Rose's face until her eyes snapped open. She wrote that she then vomited on Katy Perry. She alleges Perry rubbed her on her face, causing Rose to vomit. It was graphic, it was specific, and it was public. Ruby Rose also wrote about why this was coming out now. She said she was only in her early 20s when it happened. She said she is now 40 years old. It was 20 years ago. I'm glad she filed a police report 20 years later. She eventually got around to it. She said it had taken her almost 2 decades to say this publicly. She said that shows how much of an impact trauma takes on a person. She thanked people for seeing her. Then she made a bold move. She dared Katy Perry to sue her. She wrote that Katy Perry was more than welcome to take her to court. She said Katy Perry would not do it because the event was real. She said she had photos. She said it happened in public. She said there were multiple witnesses. There is a real hook in this Justin Bieber trigger that most people are missing. Katy Perry did not just attend Coachella as a spectator. She showed up at Weekend One with her brand new boyfriend, former Canadian Prime Minister Justin Trudeau. Pop star and astronaut Katy Perry. She was there with her new boyfriend Justin Trudeau. The two of them wore matching white shirts and basically confirmed their relationship to the world at the festival. Her mood that weekend was loud, playful, and very much in the public spotlight. The Bieber joke was part of that energy. Ruby Rose saw it. Ruby Rose reacted, and a post meant to mock a pop star for a streaming service punchline ended up triggering a criminal investigation on the other side of the planet. The scale of what this thread's post started is hard to process. Within 24 hours, it was the top trending story on every entertainment outlet in the English-speaking world. Within 48 hours, a representative for Katy Perry issued a statement. And that statement was not just a denial. The statement from Katy Perry's representative was short, it was sharp, and it was engineered. Katy Perry's reply was written for a courtroom. The statement from Katy Perry's side was short, it was sharp, and it was written with real purpose. The statement said the allegations being circulated by Ruby Rose about Katy Perry were not only categorically false, but also dangerous and reckless lies. The statement then added a second layer. It said Ruby Rose had a well-documented history of making serious public allegations on social media against various individuals. It said those claims had repeatedly been denied by the people named. Now, most fans read that and thought it was a normal denial. It is not. If you look at the language closely, every single word is doing a job. The word lies sets up the claim of falsehood. The word reckless sets up the mental state of the accuser. The word categorically shuts down any argument that the statement was partially true. And the line about a well-documented history sets up a character pattern. This is not PR writing. This is legal writing. This reads like the first step toward a lawsuit in Australia. To understand why, you have to know something about Australian defamation law. In the United States, a public figure has to prove that the person who made a claim acted with actual malice. That is an almost impossible bar to clear. A celebrity suing in an American court almost always loses. In Australia, the rules are flipped. The person being sued has to prove their statement was true. If they cannot prove it, they lose the case automatically. That one difference changes everything. It is why Australia has quietly become a favorite courtroom for celebrities who want to push back against public accusations. Nicole Kidman has used it. Jeffrey Rush has used it and walked away with nearly $3 million. Rebel Wilson has used it and won a massive payout. Ben Roberts-Smith has used it. The Katy Perry statement reads like the opening move in that same playbook. And then came the strange part. One day after the rep released that statement, Katy Perry posted something on her own Instagram story. She did not address Ruby Rose directly. She did not deny anything herself. She did not even mention the investigation. Instead, she posted the cover of her own song called By the Grace of God from her 2013 album Prism. Over the image, she wrote the words, "I love you." No context, no caption, nothing else. Fans immediately started pulling up the lyrics of that song. One line kept showing up in screenshots. The line says, "The truth will set you free." Fans argued for hours about what Katy Perry meant by it. Some said it was a message to God. Some said it was a message to Ruby Rose. Some said it was a message to her own fans to stay loyal. Whatever it was her only personal message during the entire scandal. Every other word came through a representative. There is another piece of context that makes this moment even heavier. Katy Perry is not having a good year. Her album called 143, released in 2024, was the worst reviewed project of her career. Her lead single flopped on the charts. She collaborated with producer Dr. Luke on that project, which set off a massive fan backlash because of his history with the singer Kesha. Then she flew on Jeff Bezos's Blue Origin rocket in April of 2025, and the internet roasted her for weeks straight. She split from Orlando Bloom in July of that same year after almost a decade together. She started dating former Canadian Prime Minister Justin Trudeau a few months later. Her world tour, called the Lifetimes Tour, is the only thing saving her year. It earned over $130 million, but her public image was already bruised before Ruby Rose posted a single word. So when her rep fired back with courtroom language, she was not just defending herself from one accusation. She was trying to stop a year of bad press from turning into a full collapse. Now let us get into the actual venue, because this part of the story has a twist that very few people are talking about. The nightclub that shut down right before the scandal. Spice Market was a nightclub that opened in 2009 in Melbourne. It sat in the basement of a building on Beanie Lane, right next door to the Grand Hyatt Hotel on Collins Street. The space was huge. It was designed to look like a Moroccan courtyard. It had a fountain. It had antique temple entrances. It had a capacity of about 600 people, and it had a special VIP area called the Genie Bottle. That was where the celebrities went. In August of 2010, Katy Perry was in Australia promoting her song California Girls. Her album Teenage Dream was about to drop. Earlier that same evening, Katy Perry famously crashed a year 12 high school formal at the Grand Hyatt. She danced to Single Ladies. Somebody filmed it. TMZ picked it up. That footage is still online today. After the formal, the group walked next door to Spice Market. According to the former manager of the club, Katy Perry and Ruby Rose came in together. They were with Katy Perry's hair and makeup person. They were with a male friend of Ruby Rose. The manager called that night a security nightmare. He said 600 people were in the venue. He said Katy Perry kept running out to the main floor and dancing in the middle of the crowd. Most of their night, according to him, was spent inside the Genie Bottle VP area. He said they were drinking. He said they were doing their own thing. He said they were drunk but not completely out of control. He said they were just like any other person drinking at a nightclub. And then he described how the night ended. He said the team at Spice Market was worried about people taking photos of the two stars in a drunk state. So they organized a car and driver to wait outside. He said they escorted both Katy Perry and Ruby Rose out the back. He said they took them up a fire exit. He said they put them in the car together. He said he believed they then went to a famous Melbourne venue called the Peel Hotel. The manager then said one specific thing that matters for the investigation. He said he was not aware of any alleged misconduct. He said he was not aware of anyone vomiting. That is a very careful sentence. It does not deny the event. It says he was not aware of it, which is exactly the kind of statement a lawyer would tell a witness to make. And here is the twist that nobody is connecting. Spice Market closed its doors forever on January 1st, 2026. That was only 3 months before Ruby Rose posted her accusation. On the club's final night, they had a closing sale and sold off their decor pieces. They posted a farewell message on their Instagram thanking fans for the memories. When Victoria police opened their investigation 3 months later, the venue was already gone. The ownership had scattered. The staff records were likely lost, and any surveillance footage from 16 years ago was almost certainly destroyed. In 2010, Australian nightclubs kept security footage for about 30 days. After that, it was wiped. So any camera footage from August of that year has been gone for well over a decade. The only evidence left is the memory of the people who were there. Here is the part that makes this case so complicated because Ruby Rose has written about that night before, and her version back then was completely different. The magazine column that changes everything. In the year 2011, Ruby Rose wrote a column for News.com, All. In that column, she described the night at Spice Market, but she did not describe it as a trauma. She described it as a funny story about falling off the wagon. She wrote that she had been sober for 30 days. She wrote that she decided to have one drink. She wrote that she did not stop at one. She wrote that she ended up vomiting on Katy Perry's foot. She wrote that she had spectacularly lost her dignity and her keys. She framed the entire night as a cautionary tale about drinking. At no point in that column did she mention any misconduct. That column resurfaced almost instantly when her thread's posts went viral. Skeptics pointed to it as proof that her current story was made up. Supporters said it proved the opposite. Ruby Rose herself addressed the gap directly on Threads. She said she had turned the story into a funny drunk story on purpose. She said she did not know how else to handle what happened. She said Katy Perry later helped her get her United States visa. She said she kept the truth a secret because of that help. That explanation matters because it reveals a power dynamic that researchers have studied for decades. When a person accuses someone who has power over their future, they often stay silent for years, sometimes for life. The research is very clear. A 2019 study found that male survivors of childhood misconduct waited an average of 21 years before telling anyone. A broader review found that many adult survivors do not disclose their experience until they are in their 40s or even 50s. More than 70% of survivors never disclose within 5 years of the event. But the resurfaced column is still going to be a problem for the case because in defamation law, a contemporary written account that contradicts the current story is powerful evidence. Katy Perry's legal team will hold that column up in court if this goes that far. They will argue that Ruby Rose wrote the real version back in 2011. They will argue that the current version is a rewrite. It does not legally disprove the allegation, but it does damage her credibility. There is also the question of Ruby Rose's past public disputes. Her team left the Batwoman show in 2020. She later accused Warner Brothers of serious misconduct. She accused producers and an executive of creating a hostile work environment. Warner Brothers fired back. They called her version of events a revisionist history. They said she had been let go based on multiple workplace complaints against her. Her co-star Doug Ray Iscott called her claims entirely made up. That public fight ended without any legal resolution, and she has a history with Katy Perry specifically. Back in 2017, when Katy Perry released Swish Swish, many fans thought it was a diss track aimed at Taylor Swift. Ruby Rose went on Twitter and mocked the song. She called it a sloppy mess. 2 days later, she walked it back. She wrote that being mean did not suit her. Katy Perry never publicly responded to Ruby Rose. She just told Jimmy Fallon the song was a great anthem against bullies. So when Katy Perry's representative said Ruby Rose had a history of making public allegations, that was not random. That was loaded. That was aimed. Ruby Rose is not the only person who has said something about Katy Perry. There are others. And once the thread's post went viral, the internet started pulling up every single one of them. The pattern of accusers nobody wants to talk about. Let us go back to the year 2014. Actress Anna Kendrick appeared on the Conan O'Brien show. She told a story about meeting Katy Perry at an awards event. She said Katy Perry touched her in a way that made her uncomfortable. She used the word aggressive. She described the night as weird. The segment was played for laughs at the time. The studio audience laughed. Conan laughed. Even Anna Kendrick laughed through the story. But when the clip resurfaced during this current scandal, it did not feel funny anymore. The same moment that was once a late-night punchline now looked like a red flag. Anna Kendrick has not commented on the resurfacing. She has not made any new statement. Then there is Josh Kloss. He was the male model. I'm Joshua Kloss, and I'm a model, actor, writer who played Katy Perry's love interest in the music video for her song Teenage Dream. In the year 2019, he posted a very detailed accusation on Instagram. He said that at a birthday party for a stylist friend of Katy Perry, she pulled his pants and underwear down in front of a crowd of her friends. He said she exposed his private parts without his permission. He said he felt pathetic and embarrassed. He also said he was paid only $650 for his work in the music video. His post was later deleted. Two of Katy Perry's friends defended her publicly and said Josh Kloss had been obsessed with her for years. Katy Perry never responded directly. In a 2020 interview, she only said that public headlines fly fast and there is no real system of checks and balances. Then there is Tina Kandelaki. She is a Georgian-Russian television host. In 2019, she said Katy Perry had invited her to a private party. She said Katy Perry had too much to drink. She said Katy Perry chose her as an object to show passion to. She alleged inappropriate touching. She alleged an attempted non-consensual kiss. Her account was reported in Russian and Georgian media first. It slowly spread into the English-speaking press. Katy Perry's team did not respond to it. Then there is Benjamin Glaze. In 2018, he appeared on American Idol as a 19-year-old audition. He told the judges he had never been kissed. Katy Perry called him up to the stage for what he thought was a kiss on the cheek. She turned her head at the last moment. He ended up kissing her on the lips. He fell backward. He later told the New York Times he was uncomfortable. He said he had wanted to save his first kiss for his first real relationship. He did not call it harassment, but he made clear the moment had shaken him. Katy Perry never publicly addressed it. When you line up all of these accounts, a pattern starts to show itself. Every single story involves a public setting. Every single story involves alcohol or a stage moment. Every single story involves a person who had less power than Katy Perry at the time. Every single story involves a violation of some kind of bodily boundary, usually framed as a joke or a playful gesture. And every single time, Katy Perry's response is the same. She never speaks personally. Her team issues a denial or she says nothing at all. That consistency is itself part of the story now. It is not one accusation. It is a pattern that spans more than a decade. And Ruby Rose's Threads post has forced every single one of those old accounts back into public view at the same time. So, where does this case go from here? It depends on 4 people. And each of them is holding a card that could end this or escalate it. What happens next depends on 4 people. The first card belongs to Ruby Rose. She says she has photos from that night. She has never shown them. If she releases them, the case changes instantly. Photographs from 2010, timestamped and showing the 2 women together at Spice Market, could be used to corroborate witness statements. But almost 16 years on, she's now at the center of a Victoria police investigation. Her second card is the list of people she can name, the best friend whose lap she was resting on, her male friend who was there that night. Each of them could be interviewed by sit detectives. Their testimony could make or break the investigation. The second card belongs to Katy Perry. Her team has the option to file a defamation lawsuit in Australia. If she does, Ruby Rose would have to prove her claim was true under Australian law. That is a much harder task than proving it in the United States. On the other hand, filing a lawsuit would trigger a discovery process. That could force Katy Perry to hand over her own records, her own communications, and her own witnesses. That risk might be why no lawsuit has been filed yet. A viral Facebook post has been circulating claiming that Katy Perry has already filed a $1 million suit. That post appears to be fake. No major news outlet has confirmed any such filing as of this recording. The third card belongs to the head of SOIT in Melbourne. That unit has to decide whether there is enough evidence to send a brief to the Office of Public Prosecutions. That office, not the police, decides whether charges are actually filed. If prosecutors believe there is a reasonable chance of conviction, they move forward. If not, the case quietly dies. Given that Victoria has no statute of limitations, an allegation that's now in the hands of Victorian detectives. There is no clock ticking against them. They can take months. They can take years. The fourth card belongs to the witnesses themselves. The hair and makeup person who was with Katy Perry that night, the male friend of Ruby Rose, the driver who took them away from the club, the security team, the staff at the Peel Hotel where they reportedly went next. Each of those people may now be getting a phone call or a knock on the door from a sit detective. Their memories of a night 16 years ago could be the difference between a case that goes to court and a case that goes away. Australian actress Ruby Rose says Perry assaulted her 16 years ago. There is also the question of extradition. Australia and the United States share an extradition treaty. It covers sexual offenses. If Australian authorities ever file formal charges against Katy Perry, they could request her to be sent back to Australia to face them. The process would not be fast. It took years for Australian authorities to extradite a former Melbourne school principal named Mala Leifer from Israel. She arrived back in 2021. If the Perry case ever gets to that point, the timeline would likely stretch across years and multiple countries. And there is one more thing that makes this case unique in the entire world of celebrity scandals. The alleged event happened in August of 2010. Instagram did not launch until October of that same year. So the moment in question happened in the tiny window between the old world of nightlife and the new world of phones capturing everything. There are no live streams. There are no mass uploads. There are no geo-tagged photo dumps. The record of that night exists only in the memories of the people who were there, and in whatever private photos Ruby Rose claims she has kept for 16 years. That is why this case is so hard to crack. And that is also why it matters so much. Because the truth of one night in a basement nightclub in Melbourne 16 years ago now depends on a small circle of witnesses, one old magazine column and a set of photos that may or may not ever be made public. There is no video. There is no timeline from social media. There is only memory and paper. The next move belongs to one of four people: Ruby Rose, Katy Perry, the head of SOIT, or a witness we do not yet know about. Any one of them could flip this case overnight. As of right now, none of them has moved, and the silence is getting louder every day. So, what do you think happens next in this case? And who do you believe? Drop your thoughts in the comments below and let us know.